"It's not hopeless," he repeated. "Regina didn't say it was hopeless, did she?" "No, but you doctors never do." She smiled grimly. She was honest, at least. She told me I have a 3% chance at best, and that's only if I undergo another stem cell transplant. Camille shuddered visibly at the prospect. "Otherwise, I have maybe 6, 9 months. A jolt of alarm went through him, like the aftershock of an earthquake, more at the defeat in her voice than the bleak prognosis. "Refusing treatment isn't an option," he said firmly. She took his hand and squeezed it, her eyes mournful. "Edward, I'm not sure I can go through that again." The defeated look she wore matched her voice, but she was a fighter, he knew. He clung to the belief that she would regain that spirit once she'd gotten over the shock. "I'd like to spend what time I have left at home, not in a hospital bed hooked up to machines. That's not how I want our children to remember me." "Better that than have them thinking you gave up," he said more harshly than he'd intended. She winced, and what little color remained in her face drained away. He knew she was thinking of her own mother, and he felt a stab of remorse. Here she was, facing the worst, and he was making it even more difficult for her. He gathered her in his arms. She'd regained some of the weight she'd lost last year, but she was still too thin. Back then, she'd jokingly threatened to have "handle with care" tattooed on her rear end. He, in turn, had insisted she was indestructible. Now he was conscious of her breathing, and it was an effort not to count each breath. He murmured into her hair, "We'll get through this, just like we did before." "Before I had a fighting chance." She drew back to look at him, her haunted expression piercing him. Edward wanted to rail against God, shake his fist at the sky. But instead he replied evenly, "The odds aren't as good, no. But new treatments and protocols are being developed all the time." She gave a wan smile. "That's just what Regina said." "She's right. We could get lucky. You never know."